Why can't some people admit when their side got something wrong? I mean, before we start, let me get a couple things out of the way. No, this isn't about Democrats being perfect. No, this isn't about Republicans being evil. No, this isn't about who was worse 4 years ago. And no, saying one thing is bad doesn't automatically mean the opposite side is good, because that's exactly what we're talking about today. The inability to discuss one problem without immediately changing the subject. Let's try something. Eggs cost more. Housing costs more. Insurance costs more. Groceries cost more. Many Americans feel like they're working harder to get less. Can we at least agree that that's happening? Not who's responsible, not who's to blame, not what's causing it. Can we just agree that it's happening? Because if we can't agree on reality, the rest of the conversation is completely pointless. Here's what usually happens. Someone says things are getting more expensive. Well, Biden or Obama or, well, what about what happened during COVID? Maybe. Maybe all those things contributed. But that's not what was said. The statement was things are getting more expensive. The response people should start with is like, yes, they are. And then we could discuss why. Imagine, if you will, humor me, taking your car to a mechanic. You say, my brakes are making a grinding noise. And the mechanic responds with, yeah, but your transmission had issues 3 years ago. Okay, like maybe it did, but my brakes are still grinding. The current problem doesn't disappear because an older problem used to exist. Let's talk about tariffs. The current administration has promoted tariffs as a way to protect American industry. Supporters will argue that they'll support domestic manufacturing. Critics argue that they'll increase cost. Reasonable people can debate that. But here's what shouldn't be controversial. When companies pay more to import goods, many of those costs get passed to us, the consumer. That's not a political opinion. That's just how business operates. If your costs increase, you have to raise prices. If the price rises, the customer feels it. Whether you support the tariffs or oppose them, the basic reality doesn't change. Things cost more. Now, here's where the comments usually start. You're ignoring what the previous administration did. No, I'm not. I'm discussing this administration. Those are two different things. If we're talking about a flat tire, bringing up an oil change from 2 years ago isn't adding any context. It's changing the subject. Another common response. The media is lying. Okay. Sometimes media organizations get things wrong. Sometimes they get things very wrong. But if your standard is every negative story must be fake and every positive story must be true, that's not skepticism, that's fandom. Skepticism questions everything. Fandom just protects the team. Here's another one. But the stock market. Maybe the stock market is doing great. Maybe unemployment numbers look good. Maybe one metric improved. That still doesn't automatically mean every concern is invalid. A country could have a strong stock market and struggling households at the exact same time. Both can be true. Reality is complicated like that. The thing that really fascinates me is how often people confuse criticism with opposition. If I criticize a policy, that doesn't automatically assume that I support the other party. If I point out a problem, it doesn't automatically mean I hate the president. If I question a decision, that doesn't automatically make me the enemy. This is supposed to be how citizenship works. Like, for example, think about your favorite sports team. If your team has a bad game, do you pretend they played perfectly? Or do you acknowledge the mistake because you want them to improve? The most loyal fans are often the most critical because they care about the outcome. Politics should definitely work the same way. But somewhere along the way, many people stopped supporting politicians and started identifying with them. The politician became part of their identity. And once that happened, criticism started to feel personal. A criticism of the leader started to feel like a criticism of the supporter. So instead of evaluating the team, so instead of evaluating the claim, people started defending themselves. Let's address another comment before it gets typed. So you're saying Trump supporters are stupid? No, not at all. In fact, I'm describing something humans do. Democrats do it, Republicans do it, liberals do it, conservatives do it. People do it. We protect the beliefs that make us feel safe. We defend groups that we belong to. We rationalize information we don't like. This isn't a Republican problem. This is simply a human problem. The question is really like whether or not we're willing to recognize it in ourselves. And this is the part that really concerns me. A democracy requires accountability, not loyalty. Accountability. The president isn't your father. The president isn't your pastor. He's not your favorite football team. He's an employee. Every elected official is our employee. They work for us. The moment we become incapable of criticizing our own side, accountability starts disappearing. And when accountability disappears, power grows unchecked. History has shown us where this leads, over and over and over. So before you rush to the comments to explain why the other side is worse, please ask yourself one question. Did anything I say actually need the other side to be discussed? If the answer is no, maybe that's a sign. Maybe we're so conditioned to defend our team that we can't even examine our own side anymore. Maybe we become more interested in winning arguments than solving problems. And maybe that's why so many problems aren't getting solved. Not because we don't know they exist, but because every conversation immediately becomes about somebody else. And if every problem belongs to somebody else, who's really left to fix anything? Like, really? I don't know, man.